You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Warriors Broncos tonight, 9:50. Brent Tate played 7 NRL seasons with the Broncos, winning the grand final with Brisbane in 2006. He had 3 seasons with the Warriors from 2008 to 2010. He then played for the North Queensland Cowboys, eventually racking up 229 NRL games. He also played 23 State of Origin matches for Queensland and 26 internationals for Australia.
They need more than just a Webke rush now. Smith keeps it alive. Tate has been superb. Tate has found full speed. Tate is 20 metres out. Stewart comes across. Tate to the sideline. Flicks it inside. Hodges will score. Hodges has scored for Brisbane. And this game is not over. What a pass, what a run, what a try.
Yeah, the pass and the run from Brent Tate, absolute NRL legend. He joins us now. Brent, thanks for taking the time to have a chat to us across New Zealand. What have you made, first of all, of the overall Warriors NRL campaign this year?
Oh, mate, I think like everyone, it's just been great to watch them go about their business and have a really successful season. I think, after a really tough couple of years, which, sometimes is easy to forget throughout that COVID period. So to see them this year, I think, do a lot better than everyone thought they would. Mate, it's been so great to see, and the support that they've gotten from the whole country, mate. I'm really envious of the playing group to have that support. It's been so great to watch. Yeah,
what did you think of the crowd at Mount Smart last weekend? I'm sure you caught the game. It's amazing atmosphere in Auckland. Did it remind you of your days playing at Mount Smart? Maybe not in front of a capacity crowd, but when you played at Mount Smart?
Oh, mate, I've always said to people my favourite place in the world to play is Suncorp Stadium on Origin night. My second favourite place to play is Mount Smart Stadium, regardless if there was 8,000 or 25,000 there, mate. So to watch the scenes after the game and the crowd singing the team song, I honestly, even now talking about it, I've got goosebumps. So, mate, I remember in 2008 when we played at the Blackout against the Roosters, that semi-final. I was lucky enough to play in that, and I just remember back to those moments and the whole week leading into that game. And mate, just you can feel the support, you can feel the wave, the emotion that the whole country's behind you. So, hopefully the Warriors can continue that to ride that wave because, mate, it's you don't get it very often in your career, and when you do, you've got to make the most of it.
Absolutely. Broncos, good side. They've had an excellent season. What have you made of them after what has been, I guess, a pretty ordinary last 3 seasons for them, although they got close last year to the 8, didn't they?
Yeah, mate, I think, in my opinion, I think the Broncos are ready to, go on and win a grand final. I think, the week off at this time of year is invaluable. I think we saw that last night with just the Panthers dismantling Melbourne the way they did. Mate, they're a great side, Brisbane, and have been all year. I sort of get the feeling, mate, all year it's sort of been 2 comps. It's been, Panthers and Brisbane at the top and then, everyone else underneath that. But it's going to be a big ask for the Warriors, mate. But if they can continue to ride the wave that they have, mate, and keep that emotion going, you go through both teams, player for player, and it is pretty evenly matched. But it's going to be a big ask for them. But who knows, mate? That's what we love, footy.
It is tempting to look at matchups, isn't it, in games like this? Reece Walsh and Chance Nickel-Klukstar in the fullback jerseys, Payne Haas, Adam Whanua-Blake in the front rows, a couple of halfbacks in terrific form, and Sean Johnson and Adam Reynolds. Is there value in analysing matchups like that ahead of a game like this?
Oh, I think when you're trying to, sometimes yes and no. I think at the end of the day, mate, as I said, Brisbane have had the week off. At this time of year, when you've been playing for as long as the teams have, going into tonight, everyone's busted and sore, and you can only ride that wave of emotion for so long. But you then start to look at the matchups, and they are pretty evenly matched. But tonight is it's about executing, it's about going out and getting the job done. And mate, if the Warriors forward pack can go out and do what they did against the Knights last week, they're going to give themselves every chance, mate. So. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
It will be. You talk the forward packs there, and let's talk some nuts and bolts. If the Warriors are to get close to the Broncos tonight, what are the 1 or 2 things they'll need to do particularly well?
Mate, they've got the game's been around for 100 years, and they've been won the same way each week. In every game, it's won in the middle of the park. And the Warriors' big men can lay a platform and then allow the likes of Sean Johnson to start pulling the strings. They'll give themselves every chance, and it's the same with Brisbane. They've got a great forward pack, and if they can start getting on top, then Adam Reynolds comes right into the game, doesn't he? So, kicking game is going to be really important. New Zealand's back five have been tremendous all year. The way they've started the Warriors sets off, the way they carry the ball, especially their two wingers, have been really powerful. So, mate, it's about taking the moments in these big games. When the moments present themselves, you've got to nail them, and that's what the Warriors will have to do tonight. Anytime they get a chance, they'll have to make sure they nail it. But look, I think the crowd tonight as well will be sort of 50-50. I really believe that. I think there'll be a lot of New Zealand Warriors supporters there, and if they can start well and get the crowd into it, mate, it could be anything.
In a position well, the centres, Rocco Berry, Adam Pompey have been the Warriors' centre pairing for most of the season. How have you assessed how they've gone together in the 3 and 4 jerseys?
I think they've gotten better as the year's gone on, to be honest. Each game they've played, I think they've grown in confidence. Defensively they've been really good, and they're starting to carry the ball and show, a bit of X factor with the ball in hand. So, it's a big job because the Broncos have got 2 real strike centres in Staggs and Herbie Farnworth, and I love both those guys, especially Herbie. I love his involvement throughout the games, and we talk about matchups and sitting down and comparing. That's probably where the Broncos have a bit of an edge. But as I said, those guys have been growing in confidence each week and been doing a great job.
You reckon Sean Johnson will win the Dally M?
I hope he does. He deserves it. I think we've seen a different Sean Johnson this year. In previous years, we've seen his brilliance individually, but I don't think we've ever seen him control a team and be such a team man and care the way he's cared about playing and making sure he's getting the team around. So, mate, I've loved watching him play this year. I just think he's really growing into a fine leader, and the amount of care and compassion that he shows for the team and the fans, and the way he's been able to pull the strings when his forward pack's laid a really good platform. Mate, he definitely deserves it, and I hope he wins it because it's a really good story because like everyone, I thought he was probably down and out.
Yeah, no, we did too, and we're delighted to see that he's not. Panthers last night, my God, 38-4 over the Storm in the first qualifying final. 4 straight grand finals now for the Panthers. How do you assess this period in their history?
Oh, mate, it's unbelievable. I don't think we've seen, a team as dominant, not since the Dragons when they won 11 in a row. I mean, they've been incredible, the Panthers. They were fantastic last night, take nothing away from them. But, mate, I must admit, I think, for Melbourne to get where they got to with the team that they've got, Craig Bellamy's an absolute genius. I think they've been pretty ordinary all year. Melbourne, they've been really up and down. And I thought last night's result was always going to go that way. I just thought Panthers were far too good for them, and I think Melbourne almost limped into the finals. As I said, Craig Bellamy's an absolute genius to even get them to a prelim final with the form that they've sort of showed throughout the year. So, mate, Panthers are going to take some beating on grand final day. They are clinical, they're methodical. They've got great forwards, and Nathan Cleary is as good as player as I've ever seen. So, mate, it's going to be whatever team gets in there is going to take a real performance to beat Penrith.
Just back to you and the Warriors, Brent. How hard was it to leave the Warriors and go to the Cowboys for you?
Oh, mate, I really, really wrestled with that decision for a long time. If I had been younger, I would have stayed at the Warriors. It wouldn't have even been a question. I guess for me at that time in my life, I was really mindful I was only going to play another couple of years, and when I retired, I wanted to sort of have myself set up to go into some sort of work when I finished, and that is the only reason I left, because I loved living there. I loved playing for the club, and I always knew the club was sort of on the rise when I was there. There was a lot of good young players, and really difficult decision, probably the hardest one in my footy career, to be honest, but it is what it is. You got to make this decisions like that sometimes in life, and but, mate, I'm as happy as anyone to see him doing well. And one thing I would absolutely love to be a part of or see is that first team in some capacity winning the grand final over there, because it would be one hell of a party for a good couple of weeks.
Indeed. Well, you're still fondly remembered over this side of the ditch, mate. Don't worry about that. Just to finish, you played in a grand final 06. You won it with the Broncos. What's grand final week like, though, leading into the big show?
It's a great week, but it's also a really tough week because you constantly got to keep yourself in check, keep the nerves in check, make sure you're, I guess, ticking the boxes in the preparation. Really easy to get lost and swept up in the hysteria around grand final breakfasts and Dally M nights, and it's a real fine balance where you want to enjoy all those moments, but also make sure the preparation is absolute first and foremost. So, mate, a wonderful week, and not too many players get the opportunity to play in one nor win one. So I'm very thankful I got that opportunity, but. Happened really early on in my career, and I thought, this is easy, it'll happen again, and it never does. So, you got to make sure you savour every moment, but, keep your eye on the prize.
All right. Who you got tonight? Who do you want to win? Who do you think will win?
Mate, I'd love the Warriors to win. As I said, I'd love to watch and see or be a part of, those Warriors winning the first ever comp and going on to a grand final. But, mate, my head says Brisbane. I think... as I said before, just a week off at this time of year, I just get the feeling Brisbane are a cherry ripe for a premiership. I do think they're probably the only team that's got the firepower to match Penrith. But as I said, mate, if you can keep riding that wave of emotion that the Warriors are on, they can get their start well, anything can happen. So, look, love the Warriors to win, but I think Brisbane might be a bit strong.
Great to chat, Brent. Thanks for taking the time, mate.
Thanks, mate. Go the Wars.
Go the Wars. Up the Wars. Thanks, Brent. Brent Tate. Still fondly remembered over this side of the ditch, that's for sure.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.